Greetings and salutations, my friends. Welcome to another Premier League team guide. Today we are looking at Chelsea. In these guides, we're going to look at the team themselves, see which areas of the team have a weak point that maybe we need to buy a new player for, a basic look at tactics and something you might play. We're going to have a quick look at staff and dynamics and finances to see how much we got to spend, and also see what the board expect us to achieve this season. Hopefully help you guys out that are thinking of starting a Chelsea save. Although, why on earth would you? You obviously want to start a Liverpool save. So first off, let's look at finances. So we've got 137 million in the bank. We've got 64 million to spend, which is lovely. We've got no debt whatsoever, which is always nice. And how much in the wage? We've got a ton of wage, 350 grand a week to spend on wages. So lots of room to manoeuvre. So let's have a look at what they expect us to achieve this season. So I think in the Premier League, Champions League qualification, that's fair enough. Champions League quarterfinals, that's the same as Man City and the same as Man United. Let's have a look at the squad now and see if, that's going to be the case. It's an achievable target this season. So here is our dynamic screen. So always good to pay attention to this, especially if you're looking to maybe sell one of, let's say you decided Gary Cahill, you wanted to sell him, is that you can look in his core group and he's got a lot of mates that you could potentially upset if you were to sell one of your team leaders or highly influential players. So always to bear that in mind. So let's have a look at the squad. Not going to talk about individual players so much as the position themselves and if we've got enough depth. So we've got Thibaut Courtois in goal, so that's fine for the next 10, 11 years. And we've got Caballero, I always say that, I don't know why it's in my head, who's a decent backup goalkeeper. So goalkeepers, tick, done, move on. Centre-backs, we've got Gary Cahill, who's okay. He's getting a little bit old now. He's not the quickest, but still, obviously a very solid player. But you're going to have to replace him in the next couple of years. We've got Rudiger, who can play centre-back or right-back, but is a centre-back, unless you are playing some sort of weird defensive fullback formation, which, who plays defensive fullbacks unless you're in, the lowest leagues, who's a decent player and is going to get better. Then we've got Chalobah, I just like saying his name, who's a decent up-and-coming... Is this the brother of the other? Because Trevor. Why did he spell his name wrong? Hey? You're just trying to be clever? Why are you calling him Trevor with an H? Okay, doesn't matter. It's up to you. You live your life. So we'll get rid of these youngsters and we'll look at them in a little bit. Like the Hazard here, who's never going to make the first team. So centre backs: Gary Cahill, Rudiger, decent. David Luiz, very, very good defender. He seems to have got rid of the nuttiness that is David Luiz a little bit since his return, which is not as fun for us to watch, but, is what it is. And then we've got Andreas Christensen, who's a very good up-and-coming player, a really pacey centre-back option, which is very, very nice, and he's decent at passing as well. So we've got, 4 good centre-backs there. For me, I'm probably going to start David Luiz and Christensen, give this guy some game time. He's only 21. But you could go with more experience or the Rudiger option as well. But overall, 4 good centre-backs. That'll do me. So next up we can look at fullbacks. We've got Zappacosta, the new guy, who is average. Good going forward. No real weaknesses, but no sort of standout areas in his game. Then we've got Azpilicueta, who can play anywhere along the defence, but don't play him as a centre-back because he can't. He's 5'10", he has 9 heading and 9 jumping reach. Not centre-back is he at all. But he can play on both flanks, which is nice. He's still a solid player, better defensively than going forward. Then we have the Marcus Alonso, scored a few goals last year, didn't he? Surprise. Ex-Bolton player. 3 seasons. And then he left on a free. Weird. Football is weird sometimes. He's again, a really good, solid wing-back without being spectacular. Is he... So if he was our first choice, or you play Azpilicueta, your first choice left back, because you've got Zappacosta, and we've also got Victor Moses, who is a revelation, who's all right. he did a job when Chelsea needed him to, but he can't play fullback. He can only play wingback. So that might change up your style somewhat if you wanted to keep him. Overall, I think Alonso's good enough for left back, Azpilicueta at right back, and then you've got 2 backup right backs, but you could switch obviously Azpilicueta. So that it's not too bad, but there's nobody really like, oh my god, no, he's amazing. Like Azpilicueta is amazing defensively, just not as much going forward, but overall decent. Then in central midfield, we've got Kante, who's just brilliant. Obviously, we've got this Bakayoko dude. How long is he out for? 7 weeks out. Another sort of ball-winging defensive midfielder, so sort of probably back up to. We can move out Masonda. He's just nowhere near good enough. And then we've got Danny Drinkwater, the sort of surprise signing, I think, of Chelsea this year, who hasn't played much because of his injury, but good deep-lying playmaker, sort of if unspectacular. Then we've got Cesc Fabregas, who's a very good playmaker, obviously. Can play behind the striker or in central midfield. Lacks in a few areas, especially physically. Lacking a bit of pace now. No strength whatsoever. He's a little bit lightweight, but he'll do you for a couple of years. Then we've got Willian, the free-kick master himself. What is his free-kick? 16. That's a bit harsh, I reckon. It should be 18. It's got to be. A good pacey man that can play pretty much anywhere in midfield. Then we've got Pedro. Pretty much sort of same thing. Anywhere behind the striker. Very good player. Probably best because his crossing's not fantastic. Maybe better behind the striker option or as an inside forward type player. And then we've got Eden Hazard. You might have heard of him. He's quite good at footballs. He's out for 8 weeks to start the game, but he is amazing. Play him as an inside forward on the left, or play him as just play him, right? Just put him on the pitch somewhere. Then we've got one of the other youngsters, Kennedy. He's had a couple of appearances for Chelsea, who's just a solid backup option. I can't see him really making it long term, but he can fill in and do a job. Then we've got Michy Batshuayi, who's a decent backup striker to Morata, who's obviously just come in. This guy's absolutely beastly. So, where are we looking to spend our, what was it, £64 million? What's an interesting thing about Chelsea is the age of the squad. Like, if you look at how many of our important players, we've got a fullback, a midfielder, another midfielder, and 2 centre-backs. They're all first choice-ish and are all getting on a bit. You know, as a 40-year-old, I'm allowed to say they're getting on a bit, all right? But so I might be looking to that. But we were okay for this year. I think, obviously, if you're going to play 2 up top, you need another striker. But I would... Yeah, see, Batshuayi's transfer listed at the start of the game. I'm not... If you could get... if you can get £20 million for him and then replace him with somebody better, fair enough. But I think he's a decent backup player. I don't think he needs necessarily to leave the club unless you know you can replace him. So for me, sort of, overall wise, we've got... Let's see what the assistant manager thinks we should play. Wow, he's really pushed the boat out and gone for a revolutionary 4-4-2. Which, no game. No. I think, looking at the squad, I'm going to be playing something more like that. I'm going to be playing Kante as this sort of chasing around everywhere, winning the ball back. And then we've got a playmaker here, maybe a Fabregas or whatever. And then we've got, Hazard on the left. We've got, what's-his-face, Hujimaflit. We've got Willian on the right or behind. And then probably on the right. And then Pedro behind the main striker, which will be Morata. Batshuayi's his backup. So if I'm going to be using that formation, where I'm going to be looking to spend my money is probably a fullback, I think. I'd probably get rid of Moses. And depending on how attacking you want to play, I wouldn't obviously sell Azpilicueta. He's an absolute beast of a player. But just remember, he's much more defensive than he is going forward. I'd probably just get a bit more squad depth in that wing-back formation, the wing-backs, because Zappacosta's not fantastic. I'd maybe also look to bringing in another centre-back, a young centre-back, because if we look, David Luiz 30, Gary Cahill 31, Gary Cahill's right on the turn. He's right on the edge of like going bad. Right, so maybe I'd use that money to look after goalkeepers are fine and stuff like that. If we have a quick look in the under-23s and under-18s just to see if we've got any big talents, we have. We've got Kurt Zuma. Okay, forget that then. We've got Kurt Zuma out on loan, haven't we? So he's going to come back. Can we recall him? No, okay, funny. We've got Tammy Abraham, a good striker. Again, you could... Shame about this, because like Tammy Abraham's the level where he could get game time, and you could sell Batshuayi and play Tammy Abraham as the backup. And then we've got Casey Palmer, who is a sort of central midfielder, who looks like a very bright talent as well. So we've got some lovely young players. That sounds weird, but that you know what I meant. We've got Paslic, and there's quite a lot of dead wood in here as well that we've loaned out. Look, 24 years old. If they're not going to make it, they're not going to make it. Get rid of them. We've got Babar Rahman in the reserves, who's not too bad. He did pretty well for me. I think he's a decent player, which is interesting. I'll probably just promote him to the first team and either work out if I want to sell him or keep him to get first team games. I don't think sitting in the reserves is doing him any good whatsoever. In the under-18s, we've got a 5-starer. Dashwan Ridan, a Dutch player with bags of potential. Whoa, 2 determination. I'd get him a tutor with good determination, and that should see him improve a ton. And then we've got a few other players, but nobody that's... They all need a ton of work to reach their potential. But it's nice to see some good youth players and give them a bit of game time when you can. League Cup and all that good stuff. Yeah, so there we go. There is my guide on Chelsea, a sort of mini guide on Chelsea. If you've played a bunch of Chelsea, then please do let me know in the comments. Let the others know what formations worked for you, what players worked and didn't work for you. Did Batshuayi come good? Should you leave him on the transfer list? Help out all the other people thinking of doing a Chelsea save. That would be fantastic. And if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for tons more FM18 content. Like if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.